you, Paul, for asking me this afternoon. An afternoon makes a nice change instead of evenings. So there's a lot of people I do know who are watching. There's a lot of people I don't know. So I'll just give you a quick run through of who I am. So my name is Muse. I've been investing full-time in property since September 2018 with my delightful husband, James, if anyone's ever met James. Before that, I had absolutely no experience in property. It was all from James's side, absolutely not mine. My background is equestrian, so horses. I've worked for people like Dodson and Horrell, Weatherbeater, and you know, that's always been my life. I've been in nutrition majority of my life. So property was a different ball game for me altogether. In 2018, we started with 6 units. So James had just finished a new build project, which we hold in our portfolio today, which was 2 shops and 2 flats combined. And then we had 2 just normal buy-to-lets. So we started with a figure of around £1,500 a month in September. And using the power of social media, and that's why I talk about it a lot, we've managed to drastically change things in a very short period of time. So we've doubled our portfolio, so we're now at 15 units. As Paul mentioned, we're just finishing our second new build project. So this is to sell, not to hold. So these are 3 bed detached properties. So the profit on that was, we put in at 150,000. We're actually looking at the figures over the last couple of days. We're hoping it's going to be more around the 185 mark. So, and that's just with savings that we've managed to make during lockdown by using other suppliers. Majority of our portfolio is buy-to-lets. I absolutely love buy-to-lets, and I've got 1 HMO, which I think it will be staying at 1 HMO for me. But the biggest thing for us is raising the finance. For us to being able to buy what we've bought over the last 2 years, we had to raise the money. We were fortunate we had a bit of money to start with when James sold his business, but it wasn't enough to get us to the point where our income, you know, we wanted £5,000 a month. I'm happy to say now we're at that, but to get to that point, we needed to use other people's money. We've got a letting agency and property management company as well. Do a bit of training. I don't do mentoring and things. So yeah. And I've got a podcast called The Social Propertypreneur, which is a real mix of people talking about property, entrepreneurship, and a lot of things about social media and how that's helped them increase their business. So enough about me. The power of social media. Now I can't really see you all, but who here at the moment is using social media for their property business? Can you, Paul, are you there?
Yeah, so if everyone puts it, if they are, put a yes in the chat box.
Ah, cool. Let me get the chat box up. Ah, cool. I can see you all now.
Quite a few yeses there.
So social media completely changed my journey. I'm going to show you some things today of how you can increase your visibility on social media by making a few adjustments that are free. But I'm also going to take you through, once you started putting out content onto social media, you will start getting leads from investors if you are consistent. But once we get that lead, what do we do then? Now, with my background, I've always been taught about the customer journey, especially from my days at Weatherbeater, which not a lot many of you will know. It was all about the customer journey and taking them on a journey of your products. So I've implemented that into my business, and that's why we have the investment that we have. So I'm going to share that with you today, and you can 100% replicate what I've done. She says. But first of all, I really want to share this. Now, if anyone saw me speak in February, I always show this slide wherever I speak because it is so powerful. Facebook is the most used social media platform out there. And in January this year, obviously these figures will have changed a lot because we've been through an unusual time, I'll say. But back in January, the amount of active users on a monthly basis for Facebook alone was 2,449 million people unique a month. If you think if you're just utilising one of these platforms, you don't have to use them all, that the reach, you know, is beyond your limits. I love networking, but social networking saves you time, saves you money, and you can reach a lot more people in a shorter period of time. And obviously at the minute, it is the way forward. Love this slide. This is what social media represents to me. And social media for me is a one-to-many strategy. Now, if people know me personally, I can be a little bit lazy. I'm not going to lie. I like my home comforts. I don't, you know, I've been an agent, a rep, regional manager all my life. So I've always been on the road. So if I can do something from the comfort of my own home, I really do prefer that. That's not to say that I don't go to networking events, but what I will say to you is, especially if you're new into property, you can be very selective. So try a few and then narrow it down to 1, 2 or 3 that you actually like to attend each month and where you feel you're going to get benefit. When I first started in property for the January 2019, I went to over 21 networking events in 1 month because I was told to network from my mentors, and it was exhausting. I was away from my little girl, I was away from my husband. I thought, this is just not fun. And for me to build a relationship that I wanted, it would take me months of attending them events. With social media, you can build up know, like, trust very quickly. And if you put one post out onto social media, it can be seen by hundreds, if not thousands of people, which is incredible. The reach is incredible. And if you're not doing it, you really need to be doing it. Also, for me, coming from a sales background, it's all about the touch points. So I've always been taught in sales that you need between 7 to 9 touch points before people buy from you. I think that's probably a bit more these days, if I'm being genuinely honest. But with the power of social media, you could do this within 1 week. So if you put 7 videos out, that could go to people 7+ times. So really, to gain traction, you've got to use social media. I love it because it's not just about investors, what I'm going to be talking to you about today. So from the investor side, you can do things like lend on a return, which is a bigger part of our business. Deal packaging, which is what we started off with, which we've kind of pulled back from a little bit. And then we do earn and learn. So we offer a learn and earn opportunity for investors. So we market these things through social media, and majority only social media. And, you know, we've raised over £4 million to date. And, you know, it's incredible the momentum that you build by utilising social media platforms. You can also use it for different things. So for like finding landlords, for tenants, and for doing direct to vendor, which obviously the god of D2V is Andy Thomas and Facebook ads. So if you want to get involved in that, I'm sure Andy can help you out, as he does me. So this is what I'm going to be taking you through today. This is my investor journey, something that I've put together. I'm going to go into some of the slides in a bit more depth. Some of them are pretty straightforward, but I just want you to, it's basically a roadmap of how are you going to take that initial conversation or that initial message from social media to somebody actually lending you money or somebody buying a deal from you. A lot of people don't map this out, and there is no follow-up, and the follow-up is key, and consistency is key. But before I do that, I want to just share with you some quick tips on Facebook. So Facebook is my go-to platform. It's where I've raised most of my money. I do use LinkedIn. I do use Instagram. Just by interest, can you just pop in the comments which platform you prefer? A lot of Instagrams and Facebooks. So Facebook, cool. So for me, Facebook is my go-to. I do use LinkedIn, but not as much as I do Facebook. And I do use Instagram, but again, not as much. And I think one thing that I need to be clear about is you don't have to be utilising all of them all of the time. A lot of people I speak to feel that they should be on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and it can be very, very overwhelming. And if you're very overwhelmed, as I'm sure anyone in property will have experienced at some point, you'll stop doing it. So please just pick one to start off with. Get used to using that platform, build your credibility within that niche, and then once you feel comfortable, move on to something else, and build it up build it up over a period of time. Don't just go out and try and do it all at once, because you'll get fed up, you'll get overwhelmed with comments, and you will stop doing it. So these are, I always get asked a question about personal pages versus profile. Who here uses a personal profile for your property business, or do you keep it completely separate? So if you could just put personal or separate, so I know which one in my mind. Separate. Okay. So I get asked this all the time: should I set up a new personal profile? Now, it depends on you. A lot of people I speak to are still employed, and they obviously don't want people who they currently work with, or the current employer, to know that they're trying to get into property or they're doing things in property. So it's completely personal choice. But what I would say is, you know, for example, I've got the Laura Muse page on your left or my right, whatever you want to, whatever it is. That is my personal profile. If I didn't want, say I was employed, if I didn't want my work colleagues to see, I would just make another personal profile and I'd slightly change my name. And then I'd just use that profile to post into groups, etc. On the right-hand side, my right anyway, here is a list of different ones. So you've got all my pages, but you've got a Laura Muse page, which is an entrepreneur page. And the reason why that is set up is because a personal page has a max of 5,000 followers or friends. Once you get to that max, where do you send these people next? So I encourage everyone who follows me on my personal page to go over onto the Laura Muse page, because I'm nearly at the max of that, which I never thought in a million years would happen, by the way. I encourage people to go over onto the Laura Muse page. The great plus with that is, one, it's an unlimited amount of followers, but two, you can then set up marketing campaigns. Say, for example, you want to start doing courses, etc., or mentoring. You can then target them people if you want. And then on there as well, you can put business content without getting penalised by Facebook, because you've got to be very careful of the personal page, what you're putting on, because if Facebook deem it as business, potentially they will shut your account down, and trying to get an account reopened by Facebook is non-existent. So just bear that in mind. Facebook pages, so we have 3 for our business. Now, I don't know who's probably thinking, Jesus Christ, that is a lot of pages to manage. And yes, it is, but it's done for a specific reason, which I'm going to go into after this slide. It is a lot of work, but it's powerful, and it's all about being congruent throughout. So my personal Laura Muse page and my Laura Muse entrepreneur page look very similar. The reason I do this is because if people are friends with me on my personal profile, then they see the page pop up in their mind, because they look very similar. They'll think, oh, I thought I was following Laura, and it wouldn't take too much brain power or a decision for them to automatically just click follow. And it's the same with my business pages. That's why they all look very similar. If somebody's following Laura Muse I Squared Property, for example, and they see I Squared Lettings pop up, and like, oh, I thought I was following that page, because the branding's the same. And what we're trying to do here with Facebook or any profile that you're using is take mind space. So you are taking mind space from people. So top tips for optimizing. Now, the reason that I have all them pages, because throughout all them pages, I have my keywords, and they are the same keywords. So say, for example, investing in Sheffield, or Sheffield, buy to let, whatever your keywords are, which you need to go away and find out. And it's quite interesting. The ones you think might be your keywords actually aren't. Now, what do I mean by keywords? A keyword is something, it'll have a number against how many times it's been searched online, and we need to be getting the ones that are searched. Or for Instagram, for example, you're looking for the things that haven't got, say, for example, 100,000, what's the right word? People haven't searched it 100,000 times, so you're looking for something a little bit lower, a bit more bespoke on Instagram, but that's a different platform. So look what your keywords are for you, your business, and your area, and then use your Facebook pages to input them keywords onto. Because what will happen is the more people type in these words, if you've got 3 or 4 different pages with congruent keywords, it will organically rank you higher on the search than somebody who's got one page with a couple of keywords on. If you've got multiple pages with the same keywords throughout, it will increase your organic reach, because we want to keep stuff free. We don't want to start paying for things. Include your keywords in your about section, and include your keywords in the posts you're putting out on Facebook, for example. You need to do this throughout all of your social media platforms. So all the keywords on your Facebook page should be congruent throughout LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, etc., because them as a mass will increase your organic reach. Top tip for Facebook, you need to claim your page name. So if you're creating business pages or entrepreneur pages, for example, please claim your page name. So when you set one up originally, it'll have a / shortened down name with loads of syllables and numbers after. Delete it, just go into the settings and do that, and actually claim your page name correctly. Again, that will be classed as a keyword. So you can put key. So if it's I Squared Property, for example, and I thought I actually don't want that, I want Invest in Sheffield, I could change that and use that as my claim, my page name in the URL on Facebook. Also, you need to get the best number of likes. Search engines look for popular posts, the ones with the most activity, and that's exactly what the algorithm does in Facebook. They say an hour, I'd say 30 minutes. You've got 30 minutes to get as many likes, comments on your post. Once you've done that, you automatically get for your, I'm just reading that comment there, sorry. You also automatically get your post pushed out further because it's classed as a popular post. Let me just see what that message is there. Can you give us an example? Yeah, so an example of keywords would be something like invest in Sheffield, buy to let in Sheffield, return on money in Sheffield. So them types of words I use throughout all of my platforms, all of my posts that I put out. But like I say, if you go onto SME Rush, or if you go onto things like Google AdWords, just put something in there. You can see how many times that it's been searched for in your niche. So, and again, what I've put on here is create the additional pages to get the target keywords on there, because it's all about organic reach. As much organic reach as you can get, the further your posts are going to go, and the more people are going to see your content. Groups. How many people who are watching are part of a group? I know you're all part of Blue Oak. Apart from Blue Oak, more than one group. Yeah. And another question, do you post in the other groups regularly? Too many. I know that feeling. Okay. The power of a group is overwhelming. And for many, if anyone's watching and is currently employed and feels a bit on the back foot that they don't want to start posting on their personal pages, their personal profile, because they don't want people from work to see, utilizing a group is very, very powerful. And the reason why is because if you're a member of that private group and you start, even if you've not made a new profile, you're still using your original one where you've got your colleagues from work on. if you start posting into a group, unless they're a member of that group, they cannot see the content. So in the background, while you're still employed, while you're trying to build up your property business, you can still build up know, like and trust with people in the property world by utilising someone else's group. But I love groups. So obviously we've got the Blue Oak group. So posting there you've got to be consistent with this. When I first started in property, I didn't have anyone on my profile that was interested in property really. It was all equestrian people that I've built up since I went to university. People from uni, school friends, family, no one really in property. And I thought, bloody hell, I'm going to start posting on here. I'm going to lose all my friends. But I thought, how am I going to build up a following of people? How are people going to know what I am doing, and how am I going to post content to people who are interested? And the way to do that is by utilising a group. It's the quickest way to build a following, because these are already pre-made ponds of people. And you need to just go fishing in somebody else's pond. One of the biggest ponds you can fish, and where I built all my know, like and trust, and I'd say I got 70% of my investment from in the early days, especially for my deal packaging business, is the progressive community. They've got over 30,000 people in there. Please, 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 please read the rules of each group. Each group is very different. Some people let you do live videos, others don't. So please read the group rules and then reread them again before you start posting. We did Social September, and the amount of people who got blocked from different groups for not reading rules were insane. So please don't do that. Please read the rules before you start posting, because a lot of these groups want unique content. So what that means is that you've not posted it anywhere else before. So the best way to get maximum reach by utilising a group is by doing a live video. And I want to say live. A lot of people are probably thinking, oh no. I prefer lives over a pre-recorded video, because you just got to get on and do it. It's done. I can move on with my life. If I do a pre-recorded video, even now, probably takes me 10, 15 takes, because I've not said something quite right, or normally I start picking my nose randomly. Don't ask me why I do it. I think it's a nervous thing. So best way to get maximum reach, utilise a group, do a live video into a group. Once you've finished your live video, before you press upload, it will say save. Save it to your camera roll on your phone. Obviously, press share it into that group. Upload in HD if possible. Save it, share it into that group. Then what you can do is get the saved video from your camera roll and upload it onto your personal profile or a page, whatever you feel is best. You do get less reach on a page, obviously, because Facebook wants you to pay for ads. So maybe utilize your personal profile a little bit, but just be mindful of the business content that you're putting on there. And then that again is deemed as another unique piece of content. So that's the best way of getting 2 pieces of unique content onto Facebook, which will fire up the algorithm, which will send it further because it's unique to Facebook. If you start putting things on like, fill in this link, go to this website, it will be deranked by Facebook, because you're trying to take them away from the platform, and they don't like that. You can do it, and you should do it, but if you're trying to get a live video for max reach, I won't be sending them away to different assets, because there's no point really doing that. So that is the best way to utilize a group, increase your reach, and gain a following. So we're going to start on the investor journey now. So who at the minute is working with investors? Please put it in the comments. And if you are wanting to, so you haven't got any investors at the minute, but you want to, just put me in the contents, in the comments. Cool. So this is going to be really helpful for both of you. A lot of me's, which is great. So when I first started doing this, I just went out there, started churning some content out. It were a bit shit, I'm not going to lie. You know, having anxiety with a post-it stuck to a window because I couldn't remember what I was trying to say. So I have been there if you're just starting out, 100%. I know how you feel, but I didn't have this, and this is what made me the money. So by doing this, what it's doing is you're creating more and more touch points, like I said at the beginning. So just by using social media content, you could have 7 to 9 plus touch points. By the time you get to the end of this, you could have 30, 40, 50 plus touch points with that investor. So they are ready to buy. And we're going through a process now to eliminate the people who I call time wasters and the people who are serious investors, because there are a difference. Everyone makes out the serious investors, but when we get down to the nitty gritty, a lot of them just want to brain thieve you, and we do not want brain thieves. So take screenshots. I'm happy to share the slides if Paul wants to repost them after, that's no problem. And here we go. Social media content. There are loads of different ways that you can do it. I'm not going to go into all of them. One of the biggest things I did was tell people about my investment area. So I did this in April 2009. From this, I developed leads, which I'm going to go through the process with you here. But telling people what you do, telling people about your area is one of the greatest things you can do, because it elevates and separates you from other people, because you are deemed as the expert, the go-to person in that area. So I know, for example, if somebody puts on invest in Sheffield, deal package in Sheffield, buy to lets in Sheffield, who would you advise, but new builds in Sheffield, 9 times out of 10, I would highly say that mine and my husband's name would come up 5+ times. And this is only a short period of time. You can 100% do this too. So where do we get our content from? So customer pain points. So for example, if a customer is your investor, maybe they are short on time, but they've got money. So, you know, cash rich, time poor is an absolute number one for many investors. Maybe it is what is the customer's concerns from buying from us. This is something that you can actually overcome by doing in your content. So for example, I'll do things like I'll stand in front of a property, we've just got the keys or we're halfway through a refurb, and I'll say, this particular property behind us, we purchased it with investor finance. So I've just told everybody that I buy properties with other people's money. Because what we're doing here is we need to seed. You need to seed in all the content that you're doing. What do I mean by that? So we're dropping little nuggets of information without blatantly saying, I want your money, I can give you 10% return, and I want to lend it for 12 months, and I'll also give you some security if you want. We're not doing that. That's not how I sell. We're social selling here. And if you're looking for investors, you are selling. You're selling you as a person and your experience. So we need to seed. So, for example, stand in front of a house. I've just got the keys. I'd say, just purchase this property with investor finance. This particular property behind us is secured by a personal guarantee. I'm going to take you in now and I'm going to show you around. So I've just overcome a potential concern of an investor's by saying, well, they're probably thinking, well, that's all right, me lending you money, but what security have I got? Oh, actually, she just said that she does personal guarantees. Tick box. So doing things like that in your social content is really important to overcome objections before you have the conversation. Frequently asked questions. I've got a little notepad in my car. I jot down everything that I've normally been asked, unless it's a bit weird. And I use it as content. Everything can be content. So you never run out of ideas of new content to put out on social media. Your why. So if you've got a very strong why you got into property, why you want to help others, please do share that because it will resonate with other people. And your how. So how are you doing it? How are you helping your customers? Well, actually, what I do is I take fixed returns for 3 to 5 years, which ensures that my investor is getting a monthly income, for example. So some of ours get paid monthly, or at the end of each year, they're getting a chunk of money because the money's working harder than being sat in a bank. So that's how you're helping your investors. And what are you actually offering? Are you a deal sourcer? Are you a deal packager? Because there's difference in that. A deal sourcer just sources the deals and then passes it on to the investor. A deal packager sources refurbs and potentially manages that property. So you need to differentiate what are you actually offering people. What you're actually offering people. Please be transparent with people. Please don't say that you offer services that you don't. I've seen it times many. People say, oh, I'm a deal packager and I offer management. Well, you're not. You're just outsourcing that to somebody else. So please be transparent with people. This industry is very small and people talk. And it takes you a long time to build up credibility on social media, but within seconds it can be gone. So please be mindful of that. We are big ones on social proof. It's something that has drove our business from word go. It's something me and my husband are very passionate about, is showing people what we are doing. There's a lot of smoke and mirrors. Let's not bullshit here. People say they're doing things and they're doing nothing. So if you've got social proof to back that up, that's why our investors invest with us. Now you might be sat there thinking, well, that's all right if you've done a few projects, I've not even started yet. That's also fine, but giving social proof that you are out there, you're going to see agents, the types of properties that you are looking at, go to a viewing, go inside, have a look around. I've even done live videos in viewings before. I mean, don't get me wrong, the agent looks at you like you're absolutely bonkers. But it's social proof you are out there doing it. And if one of your customer pain points is that they're cash rich and time poor or knowledge poor, this is where you come in. Please don't just do the successes, do the failures, because what we do is a simple process, but it is not straightforward. It is absolutely full of ups, downs, and everything else in between. So, if you've had a shitty day, tell people. If something's gone wrong, tell them, but also tell them how you've overcome something. So for example, the new builds we've just done, we've had an absolute nightmare with the drainage, and I've told the world about it on social media. Why? Because we've overcome it, and it shows that we can actually start and finish a project and get through it, and we are transparent. And I've already touched on the knowledge of your investment area. World events is not really something I do. Observations on competitors, if you want to go into that, but I don't. The last three is something I don't particularly delve into that much. So types of content. So these are just little examples of the things that I've put out there. One thing I would say is what works for me might not necessarily work for you, because we're very different personalities, and people who are attracted to you are probably very different. So it's all about test, measure, and repeat. So test something, measure how, for example, how many likes and comments you've got, how many viewers you've got. If it's terrible, maybe that's not right for the type of people who are following you. If it's amazing, great, to repeat and do more of that. So it's all trial and error with social media, and every platform is different. So content that works on Facebook might not necessarily work on Instagram. Well, it won't work on Instagram. Or it might not work on LinkedIn because it's a very different platform. So the only way you're going to know this is by trying it. So this is something I did a little video. So I do a lot of live videos, mainly because I'm terrible at planning content. So I can't sit down for a full day and plan. I just like to do it ad hoc as I go. I'll plan. So I've got a lot of evergreen content. So what evergreen content means is things that are not time stamped. You can be reused. So I've got a bank of that now. So I just reuse and reuse and reuse that. I might add one or two a month into that folder that I've got. And then my VA just schedules Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. We have themes for each day in my pages. She schedules it because it's evergreen content. But the live stuff, I do ad hoc as much as I possibly can. So this is a little video about our new build site. People love before and after photos. Like this one's in, like 235 likes for a bathroom photograph. Like it's just nuts. So before and afters are powerful. Shows obviously before and after is social proof. Again, another bit of social proof. So this particular email that I got was as a result of a direct HMO letter campaign, and I'll show you the results of what this actually was. But it's just showing people that you actually are doing the direct mail. You're not just saying that you're doing it. You're not just taking pictures of loads of different colour envelopes and you're not posting them. You know, there's got to be some context to what you're doing. I'm doing this because of X, Y, and Z, and it's going to be helpful because of this, but also telling people what your results are. Don't just say I'm doing, but why are you doing it? How have you done it? How have you got them addresses? Why are you using yellow envelopes? So put some more context behind what you're actually putting out there. Telling people about Sheffield. I still tell people about Sheffield. I'm not from Sheffield originally, believe it or not. I'm from Leeds. But I've been converted to Sheffield because of my husband. And I love the place. And I love, you know, I love living here. I love buying properties here. And, you know, we get some fantastic deals. And any strategy works in Sheffield. Leeds is not better, Susie. How rude. I did see that pop up. And then putting things on like this. I mean, that's a rare video of my husband. Lead magnets. Just have a drink. Who here who's watching uses lead magnets on social media? Just put a yes or no. Cool. So lead magnets is a great way to build a database. So we're all looking for databases here, whether it's an investor database, whether it's a landlord database, a tenant database, or a direct to vendor database. So using a lead magnet is very powerful. So what the bloody hell is a lead magnet, Laura? So it's things like this. Sorry. So it's creating a document, something free, something that somebody wants to download, something that is going to enable you to capture their details. So I put this out there. It was, why should you invest in Sheffield? That's the image. You can get it done on Fiverr for like 15, 20 quid, like this CGI. Just Google ebooks on Fiverr or Upwork or something, and people can create this for you. Pretty simple. But then it's literally a PDF document. So I've got on the next one, haven't I? So I create in my CRM system, which I'm going to go into a little bit after these slides. In my CRM system, which you should all have, by the way, you create a link in whatever CRM you're using. You create the link, and when you post this on social media, you say, if you're interested and you'd like to download a copy, please fill in your details on the below link. They click on the link, then this box comes up. Click claim my free ebook. Once they've put their details into here, it automatically goes into my CRM system, and it will automatically go into my investor database. We need to collect as many names and emails as possible who are interested in working with us, because then what that is, that's our pond and we fish in our own pond. They fill this in and then it comes straight through to our CRM system. But you can do this with anything. You can do it for landlords, for tenants, for investors, but we need to be building up a database that we can then do a marketing campaign to build and nourish the seeds that are planted. So they've planted a seed that they're interested in working in Sheffield. Now we need to water the seed and develop the relationship. So social media content is all about building up the know, like, and trust. But for me, what it really means is being visible. If people don't know you're there, how the hell are they going to find you? You've got to be authentic, and you have 100% got to be consistent. Do you need GDPR? No, because they're volunteering their details. If you pulled a list, somebody gave you a list and it wasn't your list to give, then yes, that's a very different situation. But also what you can do is in the marketing campaign that I'm talking about, you've also got the opt out, so they can opt out. Don't forget, on any of your social media posts that you put out there, put a call to action. What do you want them to do next? Not in groups. You can't do this in groups, so I'm just being transparent there. Don't put call to action in groups because it'll get deleted. But on your personal profile, you can put, please inbox me if you want to know more information, or please go to my website if you want to know more information, but don't do that in groups. You need to give them a call to action. Are you interested in investing with us? Contact me now, email me now, ring me now. So put a call to action on what you want them to do next. Right, once we've got the lead, so we've put loads of content out there, and then we're going to get some leads. This is a lead that I got after the original video I showed you, the Why Invest in Sheffield. So this is something that popped into my inbox. Hi Laura, how are you? You'll start getting these from people you don't know, and at first I was like, who is this random person who's been watching me on Facebook? What I always find is my investors have never liked or commented on anything that I've ever put on social media. What they do is they watch. They watch to see the type of content you're putting out there. They watch to see if you're being consistent. And then you will start getting these messages. Then the web form. So this is going back in, so I'm going to go a little bit into CRM systems here. Now, I use Podio. I have not used any other CRM system, so I cannot comment on things like annoying CRM or Insightly or anything like that. I use Podio because it's simple, it's completely, you can create anything that you want, any of the apps, it's so cool, you can customize it to you. That's why I use it, and it's free until you get to a certain point. So creating a web form. This is my Podio. So if you set it up, it won't have all the, I mean, I don't know why I'm moving my mouse. You can't, I don't know if you can see. Can you see my mouse at the top? Yes or no? Yeah, oh, cool. So across here at the top are all my apps. Now, these are things that I have created. So you see this at the end here, the add app. This is something that you would, when you start, it'll be blank and you need to create your own apps. If you need help with that, I'm more than happy to help you. That's not a problem. I can post Paul a video. It's about 30 minutes, or we can do it for you. Just let me know. So on here, I've got things like contacts, my investor database, my property pipeline. So all my deals are in here, and I work them across in a workflow. And then I've got direct to vendor leads. So this is linked up to my Facebook ads. So once I get a lead, it automatically drops in here. Then I move it into a pipeline. And then I've got website contacts. So anyone who fills in one of my Invest in Sheffield lead magnets gets automatically dropped in here. Or they might fill in one of my social media lead magnets, they get dropped into that particular app. And the list goes on. So basically the web form. You create this in Podio, you create a new app, and then once you put in all the things that you want to know from an investor, so obviously it's name, it's number, etc. But it's things like, what does a good investment look like to you? Why do you want to invest in property? Do you already have investment properties? Now that's important because you want to know, are they brand new to invest in, or are they experienced? So we don't really work with people who are brand new to investment anymore. We work with more experienced investors because now we've built up our buy-to-lets, and now we're moving on to bigger projects, and they want to come with us on that journey. They want to invest in the projects with us. So as you develop your business, your criteria for your investors will also change. So put in all the details. Once you've done it, and I'll send the video so you can all work out how to do this. I just haven't got enough time to go through it right now, but I'll give you a basic overview. On the right hand side, you'll get a shareable link. Now that link is what you will then put into the text of your social media post. If you want to make it look a bit sexier so it doesn't say Podio web form, you can use something called bit.ly.com or .co.uk, and you can amend what the link says. Still works, but that's how you can make it a bit sexier if you want. Embed code, you can embed these also onto your website. And once they're filled in, they automatically come into your CRM system. So this is what it looks like once you click on it. So they'll fill in all these details. Why are you looking to invest? Where are you looking to invest? Now, it's up to you. If you're a deal packager or a deal sourcer, maybe that's not. I don't work with other investors who work with other sources in regards to 2 or 3, because for me, by the time I've got on my deal and they're working with 2 or 3 other people, they've probably got something from them as well. And then it's like, well, I've got this deal, you know, and then I've got to go, especially if it's very specific things that you're sourcing. So I only source buy-to-lets, 3-bed, 2 3-bed buy-to-lets in Sheffield, 7-detached or terraced, insert and postcodes. So whatever your criteria is, think about the questions you want to ask the investor. Now, my CRM system looks like this. So this is the front face of it all. So you can see on here that I've got a couple of people who are added on. So if you're in a partnership, for example, you can add people in. Once you get to 5 people, you have to pay. Or once you get to, I think it's 5,000 items, which is words, by the way, you have to pay. But up until 2 months ago, and only because I wanted to integrate and automate a lot of things using the system. So for example, I use this system for my lettings business. I wanted to then have an automatic email when our gas certs are due. I get an email, and so does our property maintenance guy. So so does our gas fitter. Right, 32 Swanwick Street now needs a gas cert. Can you go? So that's the point I've had to pay. Prior to that, I haven't. It's been free. So behind, if you can see, that is my property pipeline. So I work through my properties. So things that I see on Podio, on Rightmove, I'm going off track a bit here. Things I see on Rightmove, I send my VA a link. So she's added onto my CRM system. She inputs the details, and then I move it through the workflow. But you basically don't go to the app market, because it'll download an American real estate pack, and it's very complicated if you're just starting and you're not used to it, because you've got to amend everything. Go to the create your own app. Start off with simple things like contacts, name, number, what's the trade, what's the day rate, and then you've got all them stored in your CRM system. And then once you've created the new app, this is what happens, and then it's just taking you through. You can completely customize Podio, dragging across what you want. So category, you could drag that across, and then underneath you can see sales motivation. I've changed it to the downsizing is in a deceased estate, it's probate, blah, 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 etc. Same thing, by the way. But the reason I love Podio is because you can integrate it. So for example, you can use things like Zapier, MailChimp and Google Docs and input all that data. The investor journey, the next part of it is the marketing campaign. So that's why we need a CRM system. So you can use a CRM system, and then you can link it to things like MailChimp by using something called Zapier, which I showed on the other slide. Go back, Zapier. once we've done this, you've obviously you've had a link, you've had someone interested on social media. I'll say, if you're interested in working with me, could you please fill in my investor registration form? Before I've had a phone call with them normally, unless I know them. I send them the link, they fill in the details, it comes automatically straight back into my CRM system. And then what happens is I've created a MailChimp campaign. Now there's loads of different marketing tools you can use, but I use MailChimp, it's what I like. And then what it does is, because a new item has come into my CRM system, it then triggers off a campaign of 9 emails. So literally within a minute, and you do this through the MailChimp, 1 minute after a new lead, they'll get a welcome email. Thank you for filling in your investor registration form. We look forward to working with you in more detail. We look forward to working with you in the future. Please see in the next 24 hours or an hour, for example, we'll send you over a Calendly link. So what I'm doing there is I'm then booking them a phone call and taking them through the process. After the phone call, after that, they never get a sales email. It's all about why they should invest in Sheffield, what case studies that we've done, and about what me and my husband do in property. We're not selling them stuff from this campaign. This is building up and developing the relationship and increasing the touch points. So this is our marketing campaign. So workflows. So you need to go into the workflows in MailChimp if you're doing this, by the way. So they get a welcome email once they've filled in the web form. And then 1 hour after, they get another email from me booking a one-to-one free consultation call. They can go in there, they can book it themselves, and then you can block out the days and the times, and more importantly, allocate a specific time amount. Why is that important? That's important because when I first started doing this, I would spend an hour and a half on the phone to everybody that was interested. And what you'll find is once you start being consistent and doing regular content, a lot of people are interested, and you spend that much time on the phone with brain thieves, as I mentioned before, you get sod all done. So setting the expectation. Then we go on to the call. So you can use Acuity, or you can use, there's loads of different things out there you can use. And it's basically call scheduling. They then go on, they book a consultation with you. You set the time. So for mine, I give them 15 minutes. Why? That's not a long time, Laura. Well, one, they've just filled in a very comprehensive investor registration form. So secondly, I don't want the conversation to go on for 30, 40, 50 minutes if it isn't somebody that I particularly want to work with. Because remember, we're doing this because we want a better lifestyle, majority of us. I don't want to be working with people that I don't want to work with, basically. I've done it in my corporate life, and it was #1 rule when I got into property. I am not working with people that I just know that I'm not going to get along with. There's just no point. And how we work in our business is we aren't details. We're not going to send our investor a pack, you know, the price of a pack of screws that we've bought. We just don't do that. If some people do, that's great, but they're not matched to my personality, so there's no point developing that relationship. So we continue to build and nurture the relationship. We've had the call, it's a goer. So they're in the CRM system, in the marketing campaign, they're still getting them emails. Then we add in more touch points. We're phoning them, we're telling them about deals we've got, we're telling them about things we're looking at. You can send them deals, dummy deals, for example. So you can use dummy deals. What's a dummy deal? It's things that you're looking at or things you've looked at. If I got something like this, would you be interested? Yes. Do you really want to test your investors? Because I certainly do. What is their commitment? We've gone through all this. They've sent me proof of ID. They've sent me proof of funds. They've sent me proof of address. I don't work with anyone going forward who hasn't sent me that, especially proof of funds. So what I will do and have done, not so much now because I work with a smaller group, but when you're first starting out, send them deals. Say, I've just had this accepted. Are you interested? Yes or no? If it's exactly the criteria that they've told you and say no, one, maybe you've missed something, or two, maybe they're just not a serious investor. So do we really want to be wasting this time on people who are not serious? Absolutely not, especially if you're still bloody working. So it's a great way to get the commitment from your investors. So nurture that relationship, continue with your marketing campaign. Have calls, Zoom, face-to-face, email, send dummy deals, send real deals, and just build on the foundations of what you've started. Then we convert. We send them deals, they convert, they buy, or we ask for, or the lend on a return basis. So I don't know if you remember further on when I was talking about the leads, from that particular inbox message I got on Facebook, I got an investor who had £300,000. He lent us £150,000 and I bought him 2 properties with £150,000. So these are deals we've done with other people's money from Facebook, people who have seen what we've done on Facebook. So this was 100% funded by investor finance. We sold it just after lockdown, it completed. We split the profit 50-50. They put in all the money, we put in all the time in our trades and our power team, and we split the profit 50-50. Now, be mindful, you don't have to do 50-50, you could do 60-40, whatever works for you. This is another one, so a bit more complicated. We put in £30,000. The investor funded the rest of the purchase and the refurb, and then we split the profit 50-50. Another one, so this has actually changed now. So this investor was lending us, I think it's £120,000 for 12 months. And then during the first lockdown, they actually come back to us and said, look, we're happy with what you've done. We want to lend our money for a longer period of time. Could you increase the percentage? Of course. So now we lend, so they were lending at 6%. We're now giving them 8% for 3 years. So that money is now with us for 3 years. So we can use that as many times as physically possible. And that's what I would encourage you to do. The thing, you know, we all think getting the money is the biggest challenge, but getting the money back is more stressful. And I will tell you that now. Please make sure that you are doing it in the right time frames. So, you know, I wouldn't ever advise anyone really to take money on a 6-month basis. A minimum of 12, absolute minimum of 12. But if you can get for 18 months, 2 years plus, I would 100% recommend that. So all of our investors now who invest with us on a return basis, and there's 7 of them, all lend between 3 and 5 years. We don't do it any shorter. Our new build project, that's funded. The build part of it is funded by an investor, someone who has been watching. Well, it was actually a mentor of ours, but he had mentioned us to him months ago. They've been watching us on social media. They lent us £350,000 on 10% on a 12-month period. Is that short for a new build? In best cases, yes, but we had some other funds. So yeah, we could move things around. And we wanted to build a relationship with this angel investor. So we didn't need the money. We took it because we wanted to get our foot in the door with him. Now, do you remember the in the social media content when I said a social proof of a HMO letter that I'd sent out and the response? This is a building that we've currently got is funded by investor finance. So we're buying 18 units for 848,000, and we've got £300,000 of investor funds who are we're utilising against the deposit, and that's why we encourage our investors to do it over a longer term. So we've got a 2-year interest only while we do the works on this particular deal, and then it flips onto a hybrid mortgage where we can refinance at the new value at 1.2 and pull out the investor funds, give them their money back. And even if it drags on a little bit more, which it needs not to because of obviously the circumstances, we've got enough time to get our investors the money back. But social media and it's all about building up the know, like, trust, like I've said. If you want your investors to invest, you have got to do this, and you've got to be visible, and you've got to give them social proof. We've got the Facebook group, which is all about literally how to use social media for your property business, and how to get, you know, on board investors, landlords. Please join if you want to. You're more than welcome. And that's me. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer. Paul? Like, hello.
Am I okay to go through the chat box now and just catch up on the ones we've missed there?
Yeah, I'm just going to stop sharing. Oh, I shall leave it up a bit longer. But go on.
So, where did you start page-wise early on, and when did you expand your number of different pages?
So for the first 6 months, I had just the I² property page, and then I just once I learned about the keywords, I added more pages to what I was doing. So, you know, the lettings when I first started it wasn't what it is now. In fact, we weren't really pushing it, but it was another page, another keyword, which pushed us organically when people were searching.
Perfect. And then Dave's asked, can you give an example of keywords, please, for the search stuff?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
You sound like a Dalek.
So Dave's...
I'll stop sharing my screen. There we go.
Is that better? Can you hear me?
Shall I just go through the little messages? Let's have a look.
Is that better now? Can you hear us, Laura?
Sometimes it's embarrassing how many groups I post in. Oh, so one thing I would say, which I haven't said, is when you are posting into a group, please just post into one group at a time. You see on social media, many people, they've put something in Blue Oak, then they put it in Progressive, then they put it into Pig, then they put it in somewhere else. If you do 3 or 4 of them, there is absolutely no point of you doing the content, because Facebook will deem it as spam and it will be completely deranked. So I would just focus on one post for that particular group that day, and then the next day you could add that post into a different group, because obviously the time limit's gone. So just be a little bit mindful of that, because you know, when you might think you're saving time, but you're absolutely ruining the reach. So there's no point in doing it in the first place. Has anyone got any questions? Do you want to type them in? Because trying to go through this is a lot.
Hi, Laura.
Hiya.
Hello. One of the things you mentioned earlier on was giving value into responding into groups, etc.
Yeah.
And being consistent about that. What frequency would you say is sort of consistency? What was your aim of how many posts a day, how many responses, etc.?
So for me, I did it every day. I did it every day for 30 days. And that's why we do a social media 30-day challenge, is because you need to do it every day to build up the algorithm. If you've never been on social media, you're being quite sporadic, it's going to take you a very long time. So you really need to take the bull by the horns. Do it for 30 days, if not 60 days, if you've not done anything on social media. You need to be on there at least an hour a day. Just do your post. After you've done the post, keep at least 30 minutes free after, so you can respond to people. and then leave it all day and respond at night. So what that does is them first 30 minutes are critical. You've got as much interaction as possible. The algorithm will fire it further afield. But then later at night, when you come back to it and you start going back on, it's firing up the algorithm again because there's more activity, people are replying. Another thing you can do as well is in them first 30 minutes, say for example, you got 10 people commenting. I'd respond to 3, then I'd leave it 5 or 6 minutes, then I go back on again, then I come away, then I go back on again, because it's re-firing up the algorithm. No one knows what the algorithm is. You've got to kind of work it out, what works, what doesn't work. But categorically across any marketeer that you will speak to, that first 30 minutes is critical, and don't respond to everyone's messages at the same time. Kind of pick and choose between them, come back to it, because you want to keep it alive as long as possible. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thanks, Laura.
Cool.
Laura?
Yeah?
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
I'm back. So,
I thought you were a Dalek at one point then.
I know, I think my internet's having a bit of a funny one because there's too many videos going on, but never mind. Melinda's asking, what CRM system do you recommend for those starting out?
I use Podio. Like I say, I can't judge on anything else because I've not used anyone else's. I just like it. I'm more than happy to share the video as well, Paul. So it's literally how to set it up, what apps I've got, and if you're struggling, we can also help you do that. So that's not a problem. But I've only ever used Podio, so it's the only one I can really comment on.
Perfect. What kind of interest would you offer over 3 to 5 years? That's Anna asking that.
So they're all different. Some of them are 10%, some of them are 7%. So it depends how much it is and realistically what they want. So we never tell anyone what we offer. We ask them what they would like, because obviously if you're experienced in property, you're probably looking at 15%, but somebody who is earning 0.01% in the bank would be very happy with 8 or 4. So I'm not going to say 10 if their expectation in their mind is 4.
So Stephen, very impressive that. Laura, great Zoom. Johnny Hayes says fantastic content. Laura, love the customer journey planning. Best Zoom presentation I've seen in ages. Louise is asking, does LinkedIn dislike you posting in multiple groups in the same way as Facebook?
I would assume so, yes. I'm nowhere near as with LinkedIn than Facebook, but I would definitely say that would be the case, yes. But one thing LinkedIn does like you doing is having your own page. So LinkedIn does prefer small to medium-sized businesses, and it prioritizes that. So if you create a business page, like I've got I2 Property, it will, before you have to pay for adverts, you can actually get a lot better reach on LinkedIn from a business page versus the Facebook page, because they want you to pay for it basically.
Perfect. And what are the better times of day to post?
Oh, it used to be. To be honest with you, at the minute, because a lot more people are at home, it really is trial and error. A lot more people are using social media than ever before. So a lot more people are on during the day. It used to be, before people went to work, lunchtime when people are browsing, and 7, 8 o'clock at night when people are sat down. But at the minute, I would say you really need to test it, because people are at home a lot more, they're working from home, and it's being used more than ever before. So I won't want to say 8, 12 and 6, because I think at the minute that's a lot of crap.
Roger's got the $1 million question. Which social media platform works best for attracting investors?
For me, it's always been Facebook. I think it depends on your personality. So a friend of mine, she earns a lot of money from LinkedIn. It's her platform. She prefers, it's her go-to platform. I like a bit more casual, do pick my nose sometimes. And I can get away with it on Facebook, whereas LinkedIn maybe not so much.
And then a couple of people asking for the video that you mentioned earlier, Laura.
Yeah, I'll send you that. That's no problem.
Perfect. And John is saying you'd be interested to learn more about the process of how you structure and secure the lending funds with investors.
Okay, I can't really go into that now, but we can
No,
do
I
that
don't know
another
whether
day.
that's kind of like another one in itself.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
But basically, get a proper agreement done, a loan agreement. If it's lending on a return from a solicitor, don't just download one off the internet.
Yeah, and that's everything, Laura. Thank you very much for your time.
Cool. Thank you.
Brilliant. So many people saying there in the comments, thank you, and how great that was. So thank you for coming on and sharing
No,
that.
thank you.
Rendezvous.